Hey guys, welcome to the video. A very quick impromptu live stream. It's now 1:30. So I'm just going to wait for a few people to get on board. I'm not sure how many people are here yet. The software is not giving me an indication. So we're going to get into becoming a data scientist and comparing that to software engineering. I found an article today, or a few days ago rather, on this subject, and I decided to, I read the article and I thought it was an interesting piece, so I thought we'd cover it here. So I'm just going to wait for the live people to show up because it's a bit of an impromptu live stream. If you're watching the replay, just forward a little bit to get to the action. I just want to wait for a few people to get on. Hey Steve, how you doing? I hope everything is well. We only got 34 people. I'm going to wait till we get about 75 people, which should be within a few seconds. And then we'll be good. Yeah. What's up? What's up, Eduardo? What's up, Steve? DR99, Arik. Hey, what's going on, guys? Girls, I hope everything is good. Can you keep up with both? Keep up data scientist versus software engineer? Well, we're going to read this article, and then we're going to jump into it. Hey, Darian, how you doing? Then I'll do the Q&A. So we'll cover the article. I'll make my comments as we go along. And then I'll do the Q&A. How many people? We're at 50 people. As soon as we get to about 75, I'm going to jump into the subject. I want to watch this, but it's time to go to bed here. Good night. But I am going to watch this. Cool. Hey, guys. Hey, Rob. I'm not going to say this right. Divyanash Sharma. Hi, Stef. How you guys doing? Okay. What's up? All right. So what do we got now? We're at 62. We're going to hit about 70, 75 people, which will be, I would imagine, very soon. We'll jump into the subject at hand. I'm good. I'm very busy now getting ready for my move. So that's taking up a lot of my time. That's why my output has dropped. But as soon as I move, at the end of next week, I imagine my output should shoot right up. I have a whole bunch of ideas in terms of new content, even some new courses coming out. Good morning from California. Hey, Marco, how are you? It's true, eh? It would be around 10 o'clock. No, 11 o'clock for you. Yeah. Good morning. What part of California are you from? I have family in Altadena, Pasadena. All right, you just started freelancing. Very cool. All right, so what are we doing here? We got 70. All right, so I'm going to jump into the subject, and then we'll do some Q&A. All right, guys, so let's jump into it. Hold on. Don't become a data scientist. So I found this on this site here, and I thought it'd be an interesting read, and we'll just take it from there. So let me mute the pop-ups. Okay. So don't become a data scientist. The advice I give when somebody asks me how to get into data science, he says, become a software engineer, says this guy, Chris. You'll see why in a second, why I decided to do this article here. This is an opinion piece. I'd love to hear your counter arguments below. Everyone and their grandmother wants to be a data scientist, but while data science may be the sexiest job of the 21st century, I don't know about that, but anyway, that discounts another rewarding, highly paid profession, software engineer. I often get messages from new grads and career changers asking me for advice on getting into data science. I tell them to become a software engineer instead. So let's jump into this and see what he has to say. As you know, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I did a video a while back where I suggested you're better off probably getting into web development or development than data science. My main reasoning was that it would take you years of training to become a data scientist, whereas web development, you can jump right into it without a degree, so you can start earning right away, making a lot of money. But let's see what this guy has to say, who happens to be a data scientist. All right. So his first point, number one, there are more software engineering jobs. That's something I pointed out too, I believe. There's an order of magnitude more jobs in software engineering compared to data science. Below are a couple of screenshots after Googling data scientist and software engineer jobs. So you look at data science jobs, 7,616. Software engineer jobs, 53,893. So yeah, you see the opportunity, of course, in terms of abundance is in software engineer. So let's continue. That's 7616 data science jobs compared to 53,000 and change software engineering jobs. This is just jobs in the US, but other countries showed similar results. Supply and demand is a basic concept in economics, and developers should always pay attention to that, whether you're going to work for yourself or work for some other people. According to Glassdoor, data scientists make more money, but I talked about this in another video. That's kind of fake. I'll get into that later once I finish this article. But my untested hypothesis is that data science jobs are also on average more senior. That's a very good point. So data scientists probably have to go through a lot more training. So they have a lot more to contend with. So they have to go for a lot more. They have to go through a lot more training. So when they get into the job, they're more experienced. So at the start, they may make more, but meanwhile, they have spent a lot more time in school. So let me just show this chart here. According to Glassdoor, data science make more money, but I have an untested hypothesis. So here we go. So let me just continue down here. That said, if you offered me a $1 million salary at OpenAI, I recommend you take it. So apparently OpenAI pays a lot of money. Anyhow, number two, there's no consensus what data science means. That's a very interesting point. Management often doesn't have a consensus of what data science means. It's also possible that given business constraints, they don't have the luxury of rigidly following a framework of roles. This means the responsibilities of a data scientist varies a lot from company to company. See, one of the reasons I decided to do this article, because you can clearly see that this guy here is now no longer an academic nerd. He's actually somebody in the real world. And he's starting to see business considerations with regards to technology choices, etc. Something I emphasize quite a bit in my YouTube videos, my courses, etc. You have to always consider the market, the business considerations whenever you're looking at any technology you're going to be jumping into. Something that people don't talk about enough, in my humble opinion. So this guy, I can tell right away that, okay, he's in the business world now, so he's starting to recognize reality. So he continues. This means the responsibilities of a data scientist varies a lot from company to company. So he's got a little chart, a little quick sketch. So it's interesting. Yeah, so he's suggesting here that software engineer, developer is actually solving real-world problems, where data scientists are more in the intellectual exploration role, a lot of research, that kind of thing, detached from commerce, perhaps, shall we say. That's based on talking to friends of mine, that seems to be the case. While an ideal spectrum of roles between software engineer to data scientist may exist, it's unlikely that it follows in reality. This particularly goes for scaling startups still building infrastructure. Hired candidates end up working on problems a company currently needs solved rather on the role they may have been hired for. So what he's basically saying is that you get hired for a job on a particular role, but a lot of times you're going to be just writing just code and just doing things. So anecdotal evidence, let me just go back here, excuse me. Anecdotal evidence from colleagues in the field is that many data scientists find themselves writing back-end code like software engineers. I've known other data scientists who's crunched financials in Excel. That's surprising. This is in stark contrast to what you'd expect if you grew up on Kaggle competitions. I don't know what a Kaggle competition is, but it's probably one of those fake code competitions, and you know how I feel about code wars and all that kind of nonsense. Anyway, let me continue. Data science is siloed. Yeah. Most companies don't need as many data scientists as software engineers. That's why you probably got a lot more jobs as for software engineers. Other companies are hiring their first data scientists right now. For this reason, many data scientists end up working alone, even if they sit at the same table as as other developers. This is important because it takes into consideration your work environment. How do you want to work? Something you got to consider. Don't just look at the money. Okay. This can make it difficult to get feedback and second opinions. Software engineers either don't understand predictive modeling or are too busy working on completely different problems. In contrast, one of the perks of being a software engineer, on a software engineer team rather, is being able to say to colleagues, I think we should implement ABC in XYZ, in XYZ way. What do you think? Be prepared to have a conversation with yourself or a rubber duck if you are a software engineer. So it depends on how you want to work, So let's go to number 4. Data science is exploratory. Be prepared for awkward conversations with management regarding why something you spent 2 weeks on cannot be used. Again, a friend of mine who's doing his master's degree in AI and so on, it's a similar thing. He's seeing the same thing. Working on solved versus unsolved problems is one of the fundamental differences between software development and AI. Let me go on. Bugs and constraints aside, you know whether most software engineering projects are possible before beginning any work. That same cannot be said about ML, where you don't know if the model will be effective until after you build it. Yeah, you see a lot of dead ends, and I know people on inside some companies are telling me the same thing. I know a guy used to work for me. His startup, they did a big round of financing, and they had a lot of investment in chatbots and AI, and they had to scrap a lot of stuff after a couple of years because they realized it wasn't going to work. But I have to, maybe I'll cover that in detail in another video. So let me get into it. Companies aren't ready for AI. Even in an era where every company is an AI company, most don't have the infrastructure to support it even need it. The head of data science for rapidly scaling startup recently shared some advice over coffee. So let me read that again. The head of data science for a rapidly scaling startup recently shared some advice over coffee. First, you figure out the problem, then you build the infrastructure, then you bring in the data scientists. This is not a quick process. Another first data science hire at a well-known company recently vented to me. She was forced to train AI models on big data on her laptop rather than in the cloud. That's slow. If you're brought in without specific problems to solve, the company isn't prepared for data science. You may find yourself struggling to add value. Yeah, I've seen it before. When you see the hype machine spin up for a particular new technology, you see a lot of that. And it's just normal. It's a normal part of the process, and you just got to expect it. As a developer, you can make a lot of money in the process, but, it's a big part of being a developer. The rewarding part is putting out an app that works, that people are using, and you evolve it, and you evolve the business. That's what StudioWeb is. That's my SaaS, my learning SaaS. I architected it from scratch. We built it out. We're on the 5th iteration, version 5. I got lots of school clients and individual clients, and we keep refining the software and the curriculum. So that's a big part of the fun, getting that feedback. And with a lot of AI, ML, there's a lot of dead ends you hit. But that's normal. I'm not criticizing. It's just a normal part of the process when you're involved in new stuff. Let's jump back in. Software engineering teaches generic skills. Becoming a junior software engineer is like getting an MBA in technology. You learn a little bit of everything. You learn databases, cloud, deployment, security, writing clean code. You learn to manage building software by watching your Scrum leader, senior developer, or a PM. You get mentorship via code reviews. You land in a company with an established engineering team. It's almost guaranteed that you will level up your skills quickly and build a generalist background. That's very good advice. That's why I tell people you want to get out of doing tons of tutorials as quickly as possible, and you want to get into the real world. Freelance is the low-hanging fruit. Having colleagues is cool, but just being able to interact with a client and having to solve a problem is a big part of the process of developing your skill as a developer. no matter what type of development that you do. And so I really highly recommend that people jump into the game right away. And as several people have pointed out in comments on YouTube, and as I'll point out to you, you'll learn much more quickly when you actually start doing real world work. That's why I structure everything accordingly in what I teach. So let's jump back into this article. Hold on, here we go. Software engineering is more transferable. There we go. Flexibility is key, my friends, flexibility. By providing more holistic experience with technology, software engineering provides better exit opportunities when you decide it's time for a change. Yeah, basically, when you're a software engineer, there are a lot more jobs out there. You have a broader set of skills, perhaps, and so there are a lot more jobs you could take. DevOps, security, front end, back end, distributed system, business intelligence, data engineering, data science. I've known a number of developers who moved from software to data science. If you skim data science jobs descriptions, you immediately notice they're littered with core software development skills. Experience with SQL, familiar with AWS, Linux, familiar with experimental design for business experiments, familiar with DevOps, such as GitLab, etc. If you can build an end-to-end project, you can also do more than build a model for Kaggle. You can take that model, productionize it, set up authorization and Stripe, then start charging users for access rather. That's your own startup. I'd never argue that data science isn't transferable. Making decisions based on data is a killer skill, but it's also something that will become more of every job as we become more data-driven. I would recognize that. I could see that where you would just have libraries you can tap into, and they'll figure out how to do things, and they'll codify it, and then away you go. Let's continue. We're almost done here, I think. Yeah. Machine learning will become a tool for software engineers. Number 8. As AI becomes commoditized rather, and is easier to use, software engineers will begin using it to solve their problems. I can teach a developer to build, I don't know what that is, Sklearn classifier in an afternoon. I'm not a data scientist, so my apologies. Anyway, this doesn't mean they can build the next AlphaGo, but it does give them an alternative to hard-coded conditional logic-based user input. This is interesting. That was one of the things when all this AI machine learning stuff came about. I had to sort of wrap my head around the idea that the AI was actually figuring out what to do, as opposed to traditional coding, most coding, where you're actually just giving every step of the way, you're telling the computer what to do. As you know, when you're writing software, you're essentially telling the computer what to do. Except in the case of AI, where you're teaching it so it can learn how to do it itself. Anyway, data scientists have specialized knowledge like statistics and intuition for how the model works, but DevOps and security engineers have their own specialized knowledge as well. Yeah, I just want to comment on this right here. Data scientists have specialized knowledge with statistics and an intuition for how models work. That's something I was reading when I was reading about AI a couple of years back, and I was reading some articles from a highly experienced data scientist, and they were talking about the machine learning, how they select the data and parse the data, if you will, is very important in terms of getting the whole thing to work. And they talked about it as being kind of an art form, being able to be very selective in terms of what to present to the AI, which I found kind of interesting. All right, let's go on. Let's continue. I'd argue that these are more common than different. A seasoned software professional could move between specialties an order of magnitude faster than a new entrant could pick up one. Again, that's a common theme I talk about all the time, when people are always nervous about, oh, should I learn this? Should I learn that? Oh boy, if I learn Node, or should I do Deno, or no, should I do not Ruby, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't really matter. Once you're a software developer, once you know code, once you understand your fundamentals, you can pivot all over the place. So I wouldn't get too concerned about that. It's a false fear, Why I don't think we'll see a complete merger. While I don't see, excuse me, let me try that one last time. While I don't think we'll see a complete merger of data science into software engineering. It does feel like data science could become another software engineering specialty. I agree 100% with that. All right, number one, AI is not replacing software engineers. That answers a big question. People are afraid AI is going to come around and replace coders. Well, think about it this way. AI still can't drive a car down the street successfully, right? It can do it on the highway, very limited, but it couldn't drive down a complicated city street to, we're a long way away. Years after an AI could drive a car successfully down the street with no problems, and we're far from that. Elon Musk will even say, will tell you that. Long before AI even comes close to replacing coders, you're going to see cars that are totally autonomous. Level 5 autonomy. Right now they're at level 3. To go 4 and 5 is like orders of magnitude more difficult, apparently. As silly as it sounds, I got into software engineering in 2014. He's just a baby because I worried AI would render every job obsolete. Yeah, he got, the AI hype, came out and people were like, ooh, oh no, AI is going to replace everything. It's going to be a slow process. All right. Yet since then, the dial barely moves outside specific environments. Yep. Technology adoption is slow and AI is narrower than the media would have you believe. Compare to other professions, machine learning is even further from automating software engineering. While we have startups building cool products like AI-enabled code completion, I actually had a sponsor, right? I forget their name all of a sudden, but they have an AI-enabled code completion, one of my sponsors from a couple months back. Pretty cool tool. Writing code isn't the real job. The job is solving problems using technology. Pre-singularity, that will remain a valuable and highly paid skill. If you don't know what the singularity is, that's when true AI comes around. Well, you have like Terminator. AI comes around and instantly the AI becomes like faster, smarter than all humanity put together. Then we're in big trouble, or maybe not. But so there you go. That's why, let me just read his conclusion and then we'll go on. Then we'll do some Q&A, excuse me. Conclusion. First, this is anecdotal. Secondly, I realize I conflated data scientists, ML engineers, and AI research. Yes, he did. But I think these arguments are still worth considering given this is your career. Don't take it too seriously. I prefer you research and make your own decisions. That's part of being a data scientist. After all, at the end of the day, we're paid to solve problems. So this guy, his name is Chris. I'll put the link to the article. It's in towardsdatascience.com. I came across this and I thought it was a cool piece simply because it reflects what I've been teaching you guys for quite a while now, right? And I'm not a data scientist, but I've been coding for 300 years. So I see the same patterns play out over and over again. New tech comes out, everybody hypes it up, people flood into it, it collapses, and then it kind of finds where it's going to be. The last big hype was the cryptocurrency hype, right? Still out there. I'm not saying it's dead, but it's not the panacea people were making it out to be initially, right? So I hope that makes sense. All right, so we're 23 minutes in. Whoa, it took time to write that article. So let's see if we got some questions here, and I will get into it. Let me scroll back up. Where are we going here? All right, what's going on? I hope everybody is well. Hi, I just bought your Python 3 course, Albuquerque. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You're going to learn Python super quick now. Where's your hair? Where's your hair? That's it. I don't know. One day I woke up and it was gone. It was just, that's it. That's how it goes sometimes. That's how it goes. 10:30 here in California. I'm in Oside, California. I don't know what that is. Is that Southern California? Anyway, yeah, I used to have super long hair, and then I became a bouncer, and then I got into a bit of a thing, and somebody came up and was grabbing my hair, Pulled me anyway. So the next day I cut off my hair, and it's just been getting progressively shorter and shorter over the years. The way it goes. Valerie, hi from Ukraine. Hey, that's where my family is from, Kiev. Why did I come here? That's a major I'm picking at USC this fall. Well, this, as I said, you can't go wrong. Whatever specializations you get into, you do. So you do your data science. You come out, you're a data scientist, and you pivot wherever you want to go. Started an AI course in Python from Harvard. Very cool. How's your quarantine time? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Because I run the business, I own the business. I always kind of work off hours. So, for example, once I'm done here, it's about 2:00 my time. I'm going to go get a coffee. Usually 2 in the afternoon, there's nobody around. So I go driving coffee. I always wear gloves, way before the pandemic for the last 10, 15 years. If you wear gloves during the change of seasons, if you live in a climate where there's seasonal changes, chances of you getting sick diminish quite a bit. Like I hadn't gotten a cold or a flu or anything like a decade since I just started wearing gloves. You just don't touch stuff, Let's see. Kaiser says, I've taken your foundation course. What are some other good resources to use as a beginner? I have a strong understanding of the basics and can make simple projects, but I want to do more. What I would suggest that you do, Kaiser, is jump into the game. It's time to get into the ring. Go out there and do a job for a small business. Even if you're not sure how to do everything, you got your foundations. When you got that in front of you, you got a little job you got to do, and even do it for free. Little job, 1 week or 2 week job. It's amazingly instructional. Better than doing tutorials. That's the plan. Hello, Danielle. How you doing? All right. That's one place I want to visit. Hey, Didi, how are you? I hope the move is treating me well. Yeah, well, tomorrow I go in with the contractor to do some final little minor rentals on the new place. The big move is actually next week, but I've been slowly getting things ready, packing and stuff. Why doesn't AI finish the course for me? Exactly. When that happens, then that's it. Then nobody's got jobs. Hey, please, what is the difference between software engineer and programmer? In practicality, it's in the real world, when you actually get a job, it's whatever. It's pretty much the same thing. I find that software, it's a different in schools. There's a different set of courses. Engineers are more low level, theoretical level. I'd have to do a total video on that. But in the real world, and that's all that really matters. At the end of the day, pretty much doing the same thing. If there are going to be too many data scientists out there, demand will drop and salaries will go down. Stay in fields where there always demand and you can get good salaries. Yeah, well, again, if you know how to code, you just pivot to wherever the action is. Thiago Caldaz, I think I actually pronounced that properly. Watching from Brazil, cool. What part of Brazil are you watching from? I like this, Luke. That's cool. There we go. What are we doing now? We're at 28 minutes. I'm going to be ending this off in the 3 handle, 30 minutes. I'm trying to keep these down to under 40 minutes. You free me from all these Python hype and false hopes and guide me through right way. That's why I'm here. To say, people have asked, why don't you do tutorial on Node? Why don't you do a tutorial on this framework? Why don't you do a demo tutorial? Because there's a lot of that out there. A lot of nerdlings who will teach you these things. So what I try to bring to the table is my 169 years of experience in the software and the business world, where I make money selling my software, or I made money being a freelancer. So I'm trying to teach you that, because I think that's what's missing in the YouTube arena. At least there's much less. So there's plenty of tutorials to do, but I try to bring the real world experience. That's my goal here. Do scientists use Python? Quite a bit. They do use it quite a bit. Yeah. If you're going to choose like R, which is a language that's used a lot in academic worlds, or Python, I would go with Python. Again, flexibility. You want to be flexible. So you can go in all kinds of different directions depending on where the money is, where your interests lie, etc. Python is very much used in data science. Yes, exactly. What else we got here? DevOps or data analyst. Depends on what, take a look, see what you like to do. Always consider, don't just look at the dollars, guys, because I've showed in previous videos that the difference in the salaries between the different technology coder types, coders, whether data scientists, DevOps person, they start to even out over time, especially with a couple of years experience. So, choose what you like to do, really pay attention to that, because even if you're making an extra $5,000 a year, 10 a year, on 100 or 150,000 is nothing. And if you don't like what you're doing, then life's not too good. Python is the leading language in this field. Indeed it is, as far as I know, by far. And I don't think it's going anywhere. Yeah, that is true. A lot more opportunity. Data scientist is so specific, vague as it may be, but software engineer is very broad. Exactly. Here we go. Kaggle. Kaggle is free data sets websites. They hold campaigns on data sets often. There we go. So there you go. Data scraping, transforming, and all I need is eStore selling my services. Okay, how are we doing for time? All right, we're hit 30 minutes, so I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and then I'm going to go get myself a nice coffee. I might do a Instagram live, but no guarantees. All right, what do we got here? This guy, Dayton is on the ball. This guy, he's going places for sure. All right, let's see what else we got here. I don't know what he's talking about here. As a data scientist, I can definitely vouch for Kaggle. I think it is a legit learning platform. There you go. Cool. If you want to get into data science, check that out. I don't disagree with the statement. Data science is definitely here to stay and evolve, but companies will keep positions to a minimum, sadly. They believe it can be a one-man team. Oof. Yeah, I can see how it could be. So you're confirming what that guy said, right? Okay, what else we got here? We'll see what Ken G has to say. I think the general data science role will start to disappear. You will see companies move towards more specialized roles like data engineer, data analyst, visualization specialist, and ML engineers. There you go. And I believe Ken G is into this whole niche. It's all cool. What else do we go? Okay, we'll end with this. Vikrat Singh. I know HTML, CSS, JS from jQuery, Bootstrap, PHP, and MySQL, and a couple other things. I learned about React. It is time to look for a job or do some more courses. Job, because you're going to learn much more doing a job. Do 1 or 2 free contracts so you get some reputation, learn some real world skills, and then you'll open up all kinds of doors in terms of jobs. So yeah, now it's time to job it. Yeah, if your data set is wrong, your answer is wrong. Yeah, that's interesting. My friends who invested a bunch of money into that's what they found out. They found that the data was super important. The most important part in their opinion, was the most important aspect of the whole ML thing. Again, I don't know the field very well at all. So just superficial talking to people about it. But that's what they say. The data is huge. Why is Stefan talking like his energy is sucked out? Because it is. I need my coffee. I only had 1 coffee today. I'm slowly falling asleep. Is learning Shopify, including theming and dropshipping, worth the effort, or does it require a lot of soliciting for clients? And is the market flooded? Troy, it depends on where you are. What I suggest, you do your basics, then you go out there do freelance. The reason I emphasize you do your fundamentals, your basics, so this way, for you to jump into Shopify or theming or whatever you want to do, it will be much, 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 much easier for you. So you'll be able to pivot according to the demand. You got to stop thinking I am a Shopify implementer or a WordPress person or a PHP person or a Python person. You just think I'm a developer. And as a developer, you can go and, go in any direction that you want, right? Depending on the demand. Think in that way, then you'll be okay. In my own career, and I walked that talk, I've written commercial code or been paid to code using 8 or 9, I've lost track, 8 or 9 languages over the years. And I won't even talk about technologies, frameworks and libraries, all kinds of weird stuff. And sometimes as a freelancer, I would walk in and I would learn stuff that I had never used before. I was just aware. That's why the series where I'm going to be doing more nerd news, I'm going to be doing some, I'll be looking at different technology stacks and stuff, just so that you become aware. So that you're aware of the possibilities. When I learned this philosophy by the way from Bruce Lee, Jeet Kune Do, which is, you could argue, is kind of the first MMA type of guy. And his idea was to absorb what is useful, as he said, and reject what's not useful for you, and then come up with your own stuff. And I kind of adopted that philosophy when it comes to software development, coding. You want to be aware of what's out there, so that you know what's out there. Like we learned, different types of submissions that could be done to you and the way people might attack you and different tactics. You as a fighter will use a very limited set of tactics probably, and you may have 1 or 2 or 3 techniques you like to execute, but you have to be aware of what's out there so they can't surprise you with anything. In software development, you want to be aware of you want to be aware of what's out there, what's available. That doesn't mean know it, but just be aware of what it is, what it can do, where it might help you solve a problem. So when you run across a problem, you're going to go, oh, I can do that with Python and this module. Or, oh, this is better done with PHP and Laravel. Oh, this is something I should never do with Ruby. All right, guys. I ended off with the required Ruby joke. I hope you enjoyed this stream, and I'm going to let you go because it's time for coffee.